Welcome to my review of The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, finally finished in 2024 here on youtube.com/@comradebubbles. As usual, it's not going to be a terribly long review. I've literally just finished the game. So it's my initial thoughts, no scripting, nothing of that ilk. What I liked, the art direction, it's a really pretty game. The soundtrack obviously is traditionally very good in Legend of Zelda games, and that also very good. Uh, I liked the open world with caveats. I particularly liked all of the movement options that were in the game. Admittedly, after I'd played a lot of the game and unlocked them all, but I did like them. The shield surfing felt good. The horses were, it's a video game horse. You can't really mess it up. Well, I suppose you could, but it felt pretty good to traverse the open world. And some of the puzzle design was okay. I would even go as far to say some of it was fun. It does feel good to get around Blue Link plays. You're not wrong. What I didn't like, the caveats for the open world. A lot of the stuff that was included in the game just kind of felt like it was there to be something to do. It didn't seem to serve a purpose. I don't enjoy weapon durability in any game. It's just like, sure, it works in survival games, but this is not a survival game. But then you get the question of, well, what is the purpose of loot in a game that doesn't have crafting? And that's not a discussion to be had right now. I just don't like weapon durability. I mentioned this during the playthrough, but the end game sequence of Castle Hyrule just felt like it was there to be a final dungeon, but traditionally those would test everything you've learned throughout the game without. But in this, there's nothing to test because it's all the movement options and things are for the open world. So you can just use them to bypass the entire final dungeon, which is what I did. So I don't know quite what the intention there was, but it didn't feel like it should have been the final. The music told me it was a final dungeon, and the ominous lighting told me it was a final dungeon, but the gameplay didn't, if that makes sense. Obviously, the story is always going to be light in something like this, so I prefer a bit more lore and stuff, but it was serviceable. That's less something I didn't like, more that something I would have liked more of, let's say. Mostly, though, my gripe with the game is just that it feels like stuff was put in it purely to be something for you to do. And yes, Blink, the dungeons were definitely the weak point of the game. It's like, we've always had dungeons in Legend of Zelda games. We'll do them, we'll have them. And it was weird, because two of them were good. I enjoyed two of them. And then two of them were just tedious as all heck. The Divine Beast dungeons. But there we go. Some of the shrines were also things I didn't like, but that's just a personal preference thing. What I didn't like was that the game never felt, apart from right at the end, it never felt like it was respecting my time. I mentioned this in the final stream because it just happened in the final stream, but getting all 120 shrines and then unlocking a really quite weak armor set whose set bonus powers up an attack you can only do with the Master Sword when you're at full health. It feels like it's laughing at you. Like the Korok Seeds, I can see the argument being made that there's more than twice as many as you actually need to fully upgrade the inventory so that you can fully upgrade the inventory without having to go out of your way. That's fine. Although, admittedly, if they had fewer Korok Seeds, they could just decrease the inventory size thing. Also, you don't need that much inventory space. I never ran out. I never particularly, apart from weapons, which again, durability system, never particularly felt like I needed more shield space or bow space. I got it because, for completion, but that was the only reason I got it. But mostly it was, as I say, it's just, this is an open world game that took me I don't know how long. I don't know if the game tells you how long you've put into it. I know you can check on. Hang on, if I because I have the game up in the background. Can I see? There was a way where you could see 145 hours. Admittedly, like 10 or so of those was the first playthrough. So let's say 130-ish hours of gameplay. Only really at the end did I feel like the game had respected my time with removing half of Ganon's health. I think the rewards for finishing everything were tacked on because they didn't have something the completionist would have bitched. Pretty sure the dev said they designed it so you didn't have to do it. Oh no, like it totally feels like it's designed so you don't have to do everything. But it also, because of the way it's designed, it feels like, why bother doing everything? Obviously, in a lot of games where this review's going off piste, I apologize. In a lot of games that have, certainly in my experience, I'm not an expert, but in my experience, a lot of games that have a heck ton of collectibles to get do reward you for getting them by unlocking better stuff or new abilities or skill points in role-playing games. There just wasn't any positive feedback for getting everything. Like, I liked the challenge of finding the photograph locations. That was fine. I enjoyed the challenge there. I liked the puzzle aspect of it. The Koroks, some of the puzzles were fine. Most of them were just, I did them because I wanted the seed. No, it's fine, Blink. It was a valid point that the game is designed so you can do as much of it or as little of it as you like. And I think kind of that's the sticking point for me, is it's designed that way and nothing more. There's no thought gone into what if people want to do everything or they want to do a lot. It was very much I could have finished that game 120 hours earlier and I would have had more or less the same experience because I would have been able to get, not necessarily armor sets, but I would have been able to find good food in the castle. I would have been able to find good weapons in the castle. And I like the fact that you can go straight to the castle after the tutorial, although if you watch the speedrun, obviously you can go there before finishing the tutorial. It's just as a casual experience for a first time through, I feel like I wasn't rewarded for playing 140 hours, 130 hours, whatever. I think that's it. I don't know if that's my sense of entitlement for putting that time cost in and expecting more out of it. I don't know. I freely admit I may be the problem here. But that kind of feeling of I could have finished this game 120 hours ago without seeing the vast majority of it kind of feels sour in a way. Yeah. Also, side note, the ability to create fires is turned off right at the end of the game, and that really irks me. There were a couple of points in it where they changed the rules they changed the established mechanics or turned them off without explaining that they were going to through environmental storytelling, and that just doesn't sit right with me. But again, that's just me. I like things a certain way. I have a very rigid view of the world sometimes, and I admit that. That's just my neurodivergence coming to the fore. So that could just be a me problem. And obviously, if you disagree, please do let me know in the comment section below. But overall, I've mentioned this a couple of times before, but I'm pretty sure if this did not have The Legend of Zelda slapped in front of the title, I'm going to give it 6 out of 10 because that's just how I feel about it. But I'm pretty sure if it didn't have the franchise behind it, it would not have reviewed anywhere near as well as it reviewed 7 years ago. Also, I've just turned people's bones to dust. This is a 7-year-old game. That means the Switch is 7 years old this year. That is a long time for a handheld portable console. Good grief. No wonder the Switch 2 is supposed to come out next year. Current rumor, anyway. Stop that. No tour. 7 years old. 6 out of 10 bold rating. It's my rating. It's my truth. I'm living my truth. Again, I don't think necessarily I was the perfect... I was the target audience for this. But I played it anyway. And no one has to adhere to my review score. I admit it's entirely subjective. It is not the definitive. This is not the definitive review of the game. That would have come out 7 years ago. I'm glad I played it. I will probably never play it again, but I hope you come back to the channel for the next game or any of the other games I've played on the channel. I'm dissing it, just saying it's a bit of a hot take, so expect pushback on it. Oh, I fully expect pushback on it. I fully expect to have people, if they do bother watching the review and leaving comments, I fully expect that. I'm just saying, for me, it was an average game. It gets an average score. Anyway, after that, air quote, tepid take, please, obviously, if you disagree, let me know in the comments section. Please keep it civil at the very least. I'm not here for another Scorn episode. Experience, sorry. But then I thought in the comment section, please consider subscribing for more tepid takes. YouTube.com/@ComradeBubbles. Please consider following on Twitch where I do these live. Twitch.tv/ComradeBubbles. Link as ever in the video description. But until next time, I hope you've enjoyed this tepid take. Hopefully it's been vaguely clear about how I've reached this decision. And again, entirely subjective. The game just wasn't for me. A review is never supposed to be objective. A review cannot be objective. No one can review a game objectively because everyone goes into a game with their own biases and assumptions and opinions, and you can probably tell it really, really irks me when people treat a review as definitive, as an objective overview of something, because it can never be. Your review probably will be higher, and that's totally fine. I just want to get my thoughts out there in a civilized way, without getting too angry about it. Thank you for watching. Much love to you all. Please do stay safe, healthy, wholesome. Please come back. I would love the support. And until next time, goodbye.